All right, good afternoon or what? Good morning, everybody. Hope your day is going well. Let's do all the technical things that we normally do. Just checking on LinkedIn, make sure we get the go signal that we're live. There we go. Looks like we're live here on LinkedIn. It's going live in a few seconds. Be patient. Thank you for everyone who's constantly joined me on this platform. Let's go. All right, excellent. All right, let's do this again. Good morning, afternoon, everybody. To good whatever time you're seeing this. Welcome to another episode of Thriving Beyond Borders with Nnamdi. I am your host, and I come live to you every week, Thursdays by 11 a.m. EST, to just chat about different things affecting African immigrants, different topics, and just how we can move from surviving to thriving. I try to provide those resources and information. And so today I'll be speaking on the topic Your Story is Your Power, how to engage legislation or legislations or legislators, how to engage legislators. That is what I'll be speaking on. Your story is your power, how to engage with legislators. And this is important. This is kind of carrying on from our conversations that we've had. We've been having, post our advocacy summit on how to get involved and how to move from being passive in the process, because policy and advocacy, elections, all of these things affect us, and we need to start going away from being, I wouldn't say victim, but just being recipients of policy and what comes out of it, to actually being involved in shaping policy, being part of the conversation, being part of driving that conversation, and even getting to a point where we are leading these conversations. And so that is the gist of today's conversation. So today, again, like I said, my topic is Your Story is Your Power and How to Engage with Legislators. A quick introduction. Again, why does that matter? Why does your story matter? Why is this um, important? And before I even go in, I want to shout out to everyone who we got some feedback, during one of them was, I guess, this was the best thing I saw on our Instagram the other day. Someone commented on one of our posts calling people out to go vote and be part of the just concluded special elections. She said for the first time she went out to vote with her family because of our constant reminders and are just hammering this thing. So shout out to everybody who's been listening, who's been following, who's been not just consuming the information, but actually making decisions to take action. So I'm excited about all that. So I'm inspired to continue pushing the work and the conversation. It doesn't matter the direction you vote. For now, let's get more involved. Beyond voting, it's also advocating. It's also lending our voice in the community. So yes, voting is one piece of the conversation, but there's more to that. There's engaging with elected officials and being part of the whole policy conversation. And so that is what I'm excited about. That is what we want to continue driving. All right. So there's among our people, one of the things that we pride ourselves in, we're resilient, we're strong. Where a lot of people, it's almost like the reason why we talk about the brain drain from Africa coming to the West is because it's almost like the best of us are living in pursuit of opportunity. And so the people you find here, and even the immigration systems are designed to attract the smart, the intelligent, the high quality. That's why most people you run into, most Africans you find here in the US are super intelligent, super qualified, super hardworking, have excellent work ethic, right? They've been through enough of, even people who come from affluent backgrounds have been through enough of struggle to where they've develop character for the most part. And yes, don't the stereotypical negative stereotypes that people try to put us in. That's a very small minority. Majority of immigrants are out here working hard, representing the continent well, doing an excellent job, right? And so and that's why you see us striving in careers, right? You see people, doctors, you see in the medical space, we're doing so well in education. Like most of us come here to go to school, and so in education, you see us striving in career, we're going to school, we're doing masters and PhDs. I've met so many, I can't count the amount of people I've met with multiple master's degrees. And I'm wondering, what are you doing with that extra one? But that's strong cultural inclination to learn, to constantly self-develop and strive for more. So we bring all of these experiences and expertise to our home country, right here in the US, Canada, wherever you are. but there's a shift right now. Having a great career is just one type of power, right? It's well, because what that does for you, you can accomplish the things you came here for. For most people, it's just opportunity to fend for themselves and provide a good life for their family, take care of their, Asian parents back home, pay them back for the believing in you and for the sacrifices they made. A lot of people, that's where the journey began. That's, what a great career will get you, that ability to take care of your immediate family, fulfill. But eventually, we need that civic power, that voice power. The laws that are passed by lawmakers affect everything we do, right? It affects everything we do, from, getting our professional licenses approved, how much you pay for certain services. In the last elections, there were so many policies that were on the ballot, from taxes in my county. There were tax related things. There were adjustments, now I'm seeing conversations around state taxes in Georgia, being a conversation, being done away. So there's beyond, like, these things are on the ballot. These things are part of the power we wield, because the money you earn is going to how it's spent and where it goes. Is all of these policies also tend to affect it, right? It's super important that we approach it with that. Like, it really does affect us. It really does affect us. Okay, it really affects us. It's laws are going to be made. Laws are going to be changed based on the voice of the people. That is the powerful thing about the place that we found ourselves. I know a lot of us want to, we're used to staying by the side, standing to the side when it comes to political engagement, because of where we've come from, because of the experiences we've had. I was having this conversation with one of the representatives, African bar representatives, during our last advocacy summit, that I said a lot of people don't want to get involved in politics because of the narrative from where we've come from and how politicians are perceived. A lot of us want to stay by the sideline and not engage. But the truth is, in this system, the people have that. It's in true democracies like the one that we live in. People have the power. Right. Yes, there's things that are not perfect. There's shenanigans. There's a lot of things you can point to. And I know some people are screaming like, no, that's not true. And da 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 da, and this one and that one. I hear you. And I understand where you are coming from. I will not get into that on this video. I am a unifying voice, right? Not the divisive one. So I want this platform to be unified and informational and educational. The day I want to go nuclear, I will let you know, and I will choose the right platform for that if I ever get to that point. The conversation today is, it's really uh, um, the people move the lawmakers. The people, it's eventually the representatives. That's why they're representing us. The people in power at every stage, they are put in there to serve the needs of the people. If you are a citizen, if you are a green card holder, if you are a taxpayer, you are contributing to this economy. Those people represent you, your voice. And so we should not, the real power is in our hands, and that is the truth. It's our experiences that drive the things we push, and move to the table for lawmakers. And our unique journey gives us that powerful story that we can help to create better laws. We see the world differently. We bring a different perspective, right? Immigrants. And I think so meaningful to it's going to be so helpful to driving things forward, our perspectives, our journeys. That's something that we can leverage, right, to help make things better, push better laws, create better policies that will serve the bigger community. I really want you to see yourself as an active player in how things go and how things play out within the ecosystem where you find yourself. And so my goal is to show us, just steps in the best way I can, where you can turn your life experiences into very simple but effective ways to request for change. The next thing I want to get into is how can you connect your challenge into law? The challenges you face are the things you're dealing with within your ecosystem. How do you translate that into law? And the first thing I want to get into is you need to identify your issue. Okay. So I want you to, you know, list 3 daily challenges that you think the government could help solve. Okay. So for example, we all know if you came here through the F1 visa, student visa, process, the hassle of getting our transcripts transcribed and accepted and all of that is the hassle. And so that's a challenge immigrants face. That can be one thing you talk about. find issues that maybe not immigrant specific, but it's specific to the area where you live that you feel like it can be solved, or that you can solve, that you feel the government can do something about it, right? Why should, okay, for example, if I pay housing taxes, I pay taxes for my home. Why do I pay? Why can't the HOA costs be integrated into that? For example, I'm just going haywire, right? But that's valid. Why do I have to pay HOA fees instead of when we also already pay house? We all pay taxes every year to the government to live in that space. The HOA has the power to place liens on our homes and do different things. Yes, they're catering to that, but why is this not a built into, again, this is not ideal, this is just something that comes to my head. Feel free, think about the daily challenges that you face. Heating, or it's getting cold now, heating and power and the cost of that. Around the recreational areas and parks, maybe street lights around where you live, maybe lightning is not good within your community. Why is there not enough lightning? And or it's taking too long to resolve those things. And those are challenges that the government can solve, whether it's around the immigrant experience or just in your own experience around where you stay, where you live, where your children go to school, the school districts, like this things you complain about, and you feel like something can be done by the government. Make a list of those things. Let's start with three, right? And then I promise you that those things, more than likely, they're often connected to a specific law, right? And they're connected to some laws, they're connected to some policy, and we're trying to find solutions, right? And then find the lawmakers that hold the pen to implement these things for us. All right. Now, how does your story come into play? Your story is something that's from the heart, right? It's an experience. You're sharing, when you're trying to push the agenda for any of these challenges, you're leveraging your own, okay, this is what I've gone through, what I've faced, this is a struggle I've endured because of this thing. Or this is the success, this is the joys I've had, and I'm wondering why can't this be something that's available to everybody? It doesn't have to be negative, necessarily negative all the time. You're showing your lawmaker the human impact of this policy, of this thing, this challenge, right? I couldn't get into the career of my choice because the translation process, for example, for my transcript brought me to a certain level, but I know that this is, what I qualify for, or maybe I had to go back and take some courses. I had to go back and take some courses when I was, even though I already had a degree and an advanced degree to let me do what I was trying to, the course and what I'm trying to do. So your story as I was going to say humanifies, but I guess you get what I'm trying to say. Gives a face to the challenge you're proposing, right? And then you get your story and then you get facts. So simple statistics to back up your story. Okay, so if it's something where you can like, yes, my experience is shared by 1,000 immigrants, it's shared by 10,000, in fact. Or we did a poll in our community and over 20,000 people have complained of experiencing the same thing. They've had to change the course of study, the program of study that they wanted because transcripts are not accepted, or the hassle of translation, all of that. Your story plus facts take the thing from just an idea to it becomes real, right? Personal feelings open up the conversation, and then your facts make it real. So it's no longer just you feeling something. It is a real situation that you're navigating. All right. So once you've identified the challenges, you've identified your story and your facts, the story, your experience basically. Next, what are some practical steps? How do you engage with your lawmakers? How do you get started? I said this before and I'll say it again. You have many representatives who work for you, elected officials who work at the city level, at the state level, at the federal level, right? These people work for us. They work for you. If you're a taxpayer, if you are a citizen, um, if these people work for you, they are elected to serve your interests. We need to understand this. I know I need to emphasize this because it is not something I am used to. And it's not something we are used to. It's a concept I'm still absorbing and trying to, because of where we're coming from, where the politicians are God, basically. They do what they like, they move as they please. That is not the case in the West, where we find ourselves now. And so you have them at, again, city level. We focus too much at the federal. We know the names of the popular politicians, the presidents, the popular senators, but at the state level, at the city level, council, like those, the fact the city and the state again have more effect on us day to day, way more effect impact than the federal level. So we need to be as familiar with those local representatives as we are with people at the big names at the federal level. So where do you find them? Okay, in Georgia, for your states, lawmakers, you can go to your state's, official website. There's a who represents you search tool. You can put in your address. If you go to the state website, you see who represents you. Put in your address, your home address, um, or just go to Google and just type who represents me, Georgia, and put your zip code. And it will give you a whole list of resources and websites that you can connect to. Just be careful what you click on. But for the most part, you'll find the key ones will show up. Just Google who represents me in Georgia, or your zip code, or your city, or your state. At the national level, that's Congress, Congress and lawmakers. You can go to the US House of Representatives website, right? I think it's house.gov, house.gov. Again, find my representative on Google, search that, and you will find, you know, you'll find their websites, or you'll find the right person. And each of them have profiles, and a lot of them that I've looked up have profiles that will take you to that page, and you will find a way to contact them, emails, and even some phone numbers. I've spoken to a representative pulling a number on their website. A lot of them have Wikipedia pages that will lead you to the official page on the house.gov. So check that out. Again, you can get these emails and send emails. You can make phone calls. More than likely, you will not talk to them directly. You will talk to a personal assistant, a staff member, an aide, not the lawmaker themselves, which is okay. I can imagine how many calls they receive. There has to be an assist system. So don't be upset if they don't pick your call. I know I've said they work for you, but there's a lot of us. So they need to be effective in how they. Again, I have called a representative and she picked the call herself before. So it is possible, but that's not always the case. So it's the aide or the staff member that will, they're the ones who gather all of the stories and then prepare the report for the elected officials, right? So if there are people now, so be nice to them. Don't go African and say, do you know who I am? That doesn't work here. Be nice, be respectful, and share your story, share your concerns, share what you want to communicate to your representative, share that, and then again, they'll gather all of that, and that's it. That's how you do it. So I want you to prepare for this like you were doing a pitch. Okay, so I have a three-part advocacy structure. Starts with who I am. Introduce yourself, confirm that you're a constituent who lives in their district. My name is Namdi, I live in this district. My name is Namdi Henacho. I'm a constituent of so and so representative. I live in so and so place. Right? So that they know, okay, this is who we work for, this is who pays our salary. So introduce yourself, and then next you go to your problem or the story. Right, go into the story. Don't spend too much time on it. Go into that specific story about what you're bringing up, and how it affects you. Um, you know, bring that up. If it's a law, if it's an issue, raise it. If it's something that's on the ballot, whatever it is, have that conversation. Share your experience. Right, share your experience and how it's affecting you, and be succinct but very clear on, again, this is where we talk story. And then ask. So introduce yourself, who are you? Share the problem with your story. And then what is your ask, right? What do you want them to do? If there is a law on the ballots that you wanted to vote yes on something that's going to be tabled on the floor, let them know, okay, I want to vote yes on that bill, right? Or I need you to look into why this process is difficult like this, or I need this to be considered. Whatever the issue that brought you there, be prepared to be clear on what your ask is. What are you asking them to do, right? So those are the three steps. So introduce yourself, who am I? Specify the problem, and then be clear on the ask. Okay. If you're having meetings or when you have these phone calls, please be respectful. It's very important. Be respectful, be professional, but be confident too. If you're meeting with them in person or you're calling on phone, this is very important. You have the right to be there. You're not like you have the right to be there. I'll tell you again, even if you're not a citizen, but you're a taxpayer, right? You are a green card holder, you pay taxes, you live in this jurisdiction, they still represent you, right? And so when you're having these conversations, have that mindset like, hey, I have the right to be here. I'm a contributor to this economy, I'm a contributor to this ecosystem as much as anybody else is, and I have the right to be heard. So be confident. Don't let anything shake your confidence. The politicians are not God. So again, I need to emphasize that because of where I come from and where we come from. A lot of us come from. So be respectful, be professional, but confident. Always, 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 always prepare like a one-page handout, something you can leave behind, that summarizes, especially if you're meeting in person, have that ready. If you're doing that, if you're sending emails, have this that you're going to send, something that again summarizes what your ask is, has your information, your contact information, and speaking on the respect part, please remember that this is a conversation. It's engagement. Engagement is about conversation, not debate. You're not a political rival. It's about conversation. It's about, again, making it to where they can hear you. You want to be heard. So don't make it into a debate. And then follow up. Once you've done this outreach, follow up, right? Follow up. This is how you make a bigger impact. It's mandatory. The follow up is mandatory. Send a thank you email within 24 hours, right? And then your thank you email repeats your request. Include any facts, if you promise to send them more details or include that in the follow up. Keep track of what's happening or what happens after your meeting. But again, send that thank you email, highlight your request again in your thank you, and then make sure you're paying attention. All right, so that's the process. So I've given us a step by step on how to address this, but there's something more powerful than us lending our individual voices, and that is where that's where we have a collective voice. By building collective power, your voice is strong, but many voices are going to be louder and stronger. And so I want to encourage everybody to don't play solo, right? Again, that's when we say the African American Collective, we are building a collective because we want our collective voices. Individually, you can bring about the change, but collectively we can start movements, right? We can shift culture, we can make significant impact. So I want you to make sure you're aligning yourself with groups and voices that are aligned with what you're trying to accomplish. Platforms that share, that amplify African immigrant voices, that give us, help us share our stories, so that when we're pushing for these initiatives and these things, it's louder because it's not just the voice of one person, right? One is too small a number to accomplish anything meaningful or anything great. So it's super powerful when there's that multiplier effect when 100 people tell their story, around a particular issue. One person is great, but imagine 100 people saying, hey, I've experienced the same thing, and this is my story, and this is my story. It's difficult to ignore. It's difficult to ignore, and that is what leads to real change. Eventually, politics is a numbers game. It's a numbers game. They want you to vote for them for the re-election, and they need to listen to you if they want that to happen. So there's that multiplier effect when it's not just your voice, it's not just your story, So make sure you are aligning yourself with the right kind of organizations, and as I wrap this one up today, I want to challenge you. What is one issue you care about? What is one issue you care about? And then go on one of the platforms I've suggested, I've recommended, get your representative's phone number, get their email, and try this, right? Send an email or something. Like that's the first step. Where it goes is not important. But let's initiate this. I want us to start. I'm having these conversations to start a culture shift, right? I'm pushing for this so that we can start seeing ourselves as participants in the process, not just a small cog in the wheel. We can actually make a difference. We can actually initiate change. That is what I'm pushing for. All right. Thank you again for listening to me. I hope somebody got something out of this. Please, if you have any questions around anything I've talked about, hit me up in the comments. I want to hear your comments on this one. What's the most important policy change you'd like to see happen? All right. I want your comments. Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the replays. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching this point, subscribe. I don't know what you're doing. Go ahead and subscribe. But thank you all so much for listening again. And please be on the lookout for other initiatives that we're working on at the African American Collective. We have a masterclass series coming up this Saturday. It's going to be packed. It's about branding and executive presence. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you sign up. It's going to be, again, there's a LinkedIn event that you can sign up for and be a part of it. You get the details of it. And there's powerful, incredible things coming up next year on the advocacy front for us in 2026. So make sure you're plugged into the community. We have a free resource that we shared around for job seekers. Again, if you're on our LinkedIn profile, it's a free ebook you can download, and that will give you some additional resources that we're sharing. So we're putting out information and creating platforms and opportunities for our people to thrive. All right. You're not just a resident, you are a constituent. Keep that in mind. You pay taxes, you have a voice. Use your voice. Your voice is your power. Till I come your way again next week, God bless you. And let's keep driving beyond borders. I'll talk to you soon.